area. I'll let you explain, let Dr. Christie explain where it is. This is Dr. Jamie Christie, an independent, second time running, and here he is. Welcome.
Hello everyone. Mary Jane, thank you for inviting me and giving me the opportunity to speak today. I never had any ambition or wish to have a political career. In 2019 however, by 2019 I felt that there were enough difficulties and disconnections between what the people that I knew and spoke to and wanted and what our government systems were doing. There seemed to be a bit of a drift. I had two sort of primary policy platform or groups last time. I, like Dr. Lee, am concerned about climate change. I'm also concerned about federal government integrity and government integrity generally. In the intervening 3 years, I've concluded that integrity is perhaps a bigger acute problem. A number of people who felt that I would do well in the campaign suggested that I shouldn't come to this event. I felt that was a really sad reflection on the fracturing of our society. You guys are all Australian citizens, you're all entitled to your own opinion. We won't agree on everything, but you know, you deserve to be heard. If I'm standing as an independent, I need to hear you. I may not be I'm probably not your perfect candidate, but in terms of change, the newspaper published a poll, where they looked at the predicted outcomes for every seat in the country. No one except me looked at Bean. I spoke to Jeremy Hansen, he hadn't looked at Bean. I spoke to the Greens guy, they hadn't looked at Bean, because they all think it's Labor. Labor scored 44% in that poll. The Libs are on 24%. I was on currently 17% of the vote. The Greens are on 11%. And the Greens have preferenced me second. You might not like the Greens, but if I get the Greens preferences, I'm over the Libs. And if the Libs don't preference Labor, then I'm in. So I just want you to know that change is possible, and if you live in Bean, or even if you don't, just get the word out there that I could actually get in. I've never been a member of a political party. All of my money for this campaign is mine. I just thought, you know, the donations and who's paying you, it's so much easier just to say, I'm funding my own campaign. I don't accept any donations. I'd had a look at the three parties' policy platforms who were represented here, the smaller parties. There are things that I can absolutely agree with from all. As I said, I wouldn't necessarily endorse the whole platform, holus bolus. So Mary Jane's IMOP, absolutely we need more government transparency. The idea that Barnaby Joyce was paid $300,000, $600,000, that we taxpayers paid this money for him to go on a drought fact-finding mission where he actually spent 3 weeks on the ground and returned his report via a text to Scotty, and when the Guardian Australia asked to see the texts, they were declined permission. So, you know, what is this? If we bought this report, we're entitled to see it, even just basic stuff like that. So transparency, absolutely. Mary Jane's also in favour of a healthy planet, along with the rest of the IMET party, and I can't see that anybody could disagree with wanting a healthy planet. We might want to discuss what that looks like and where we're at, but I think we all have to agree that what we want is a healthy planet. I've had a look through the One Nation policy platform. An area that they're talking about that no one else seems to be much is water ownership. And I think absolutely for Australia, a closer attention to how we're managing this really precious resource needs to be paid. Interestingly, the One Nations and the Greens are on a unity ticket about paying royalties, getting adequate royalties for foreign companies mining our minerals and gas. It's unusual for the One Nation and the Greens to be on a unity ticket. I'd be very happy to join that ticket. Liberal and Labor have nothing to say about it. The One Nation education policy states that they support critical thinking and a focus on literacy, reading and writing. And I would absolutely agree that those things are important and perhaps need a bit more focus. The UAP from Kath abolished the student HECS debts. I was really fortunate. I grew up at a time where our society wanted to nurture young people. And so I graduated with no HECS debt. And I think I think that if we want a society that's educated, that is a really great policy. The UAP's home ownership policy, we have to do something about home ownership. One of the subtexts of their policies is that first home buyer interest should be a tax deduction if you're buying your first home, the same as it is if you're buying your second or your 99th. I hadn't read that policy when but I suggested that seems to be something. I can't see why we're not doing it. And I liked the idea of the business taxes being shifted so that provisional tax was paid in arrears rather than in advance. That just seems fairer. If you are a small business, you're going to have cash flow challenges. So, there's a whole lot of stuff in all of those policy platforms that I think just makes sense and agrees with. So I guess those are the things that I wanted to say. And thank you, Marianne, again, for making it possible to speak to this audience.
Thank you so much.